There we go. I understand if you go to the mall and get the shot today, they've turned it green. So it's very festive. It's very festive when it. All right. There it went. I'm getting ready to shoot it. It's very festive. It's very festive. One of our super fans, Lamont Tyson, did go to the super site at the mall, and he said it was very, very smooth. You got it?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me see if this does anything for you. No, I gave you the wrong thing. Hang on, let me try this again.
Wait, I got it now.
Okay. Okay.
That should do it, but we'll see. I just don't know. It's going to happen.
That's what.
So, all right. Here we go.
Ready to go.
Okay. It is the Brad and Britt cast midweek version here, and I really shouldn't look at it like this because it just is me. Yeah, they have like a dirty dozen list that's put out each year of the worst things you can eat in various categories, and they have the worst 12 fruits and vegetables you can eat because of pesticides, and all the other kind of crap that they use. And the name of the people who do this, they're the Environmental Working Group. Now, of course, as you know, they get about $10 billion from the Green New Deal. But here's their list. And I'm like dead. I am dead. Ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read the details. Just go through. Ready? Spinach. I eat it. Kale. Don't eat it. Nectarines. Don't eat them.
Yeah.
Apples. Eat them.
Yeah.
Grapes. Eat them. Cherries.
Yeah.
Eat them. Peaches. Eat them. Eat them. Sweet bell peppers, no matter which color. Eat them.
Yeah.
Celery. Eat it. Tomatoes. Eat them. Oranges. Eat them. I'm dead. Why am I here? How am I alive? How am I alive?
I don't.
I'm like a walking chemical factory. I don't even know it.
Jesus, I can't even tell you. I don't know how they put that stuff together or what it means or anything. I just try to, I just try to do the best I can.
Yes, I think what we need to do is attack the people who put out the list, attack their motives.
Yeah, sure.
And deny the science. Is that
that's
what you
it.
do?
Oh,
okay.
sure.
All right.
But don't you? I mean, you go to you're like me. You go to the doctor and they take the blood out of your arm and then they swirl it around and spit it out, and it's got a nice bouquet and it's got hints of currant or whatever. But the numbers you get back are good, right? I think that's all that matters.
It doesn't matter because one day you walk in there and they go, "You got cancer. You got 6 months." You know how this works. It has nothing to do with the shit you get every year from your blood. It doesn't mean anything. One day you cross the line.
Well,
before that day, you're fine. The next day, I hope you have your papers in order, sir. Get out.
But there's stuff that you can do. There's stuff that you can do that mitigates, your risk toward cancer, like the smoking and eating of red meat. And if you work out and do stuff like that, and you cleanse your butt every now and again and get toxic poop out of you, there's things you can do.
Nah.
It's over. You're just going to eat Snickers bars and you're going to just eat steak every night.
I say that. But fruit, vegetables, they're supposed to be good for you, but they're not. So you're right. You're probably better off with a Snickers bar. They probably have higher standards for the peanuts they put into a Snickers bar than the shit at the grocery store. It's in the fruit bin. It looks like, oh, that must be good. It's in the fruit section.
I do this. There's this powder I mix up in my juice, and it's got like 1 million servings of everything, and that's my vegetables.
Because Britt, I lived to 500 because you're putting that shit in there.
You can't say that because I've made myself so healthy over the past 3 years. The struggle that I've had.
Just because you were a blob of near death for 48 years, that has nothing to do with anything.
I had diabetes.
Hey, when you go to the fucking deli and they call your number, that's your number. There's nothing you can do about it.
What has brought on this doom and gloom? What has brought on this fatalism, my friend? You sound troubled.
I was fine till I saw the fruit list. I was fine.
The fruit list is what got to me. I guess we could start with that very sad news out of Atlanta where there were shootings and killings at some various places that would be associated with Asian businesses, and they arrested some guy who fits I don't know, the profile of an idiot, and it looks like it's open season. And as far as hate crimes against Asians, it's a very exposed population, and it's a very endangered population right now. Meanwhile, Dickwad the Amazing, as he was trying to claim credit for the vaccine last week, made sure that he told you it was often and commonly called the China virus. Your thoughts on what's going on in the Asian American community, and it seems horrific what's happened to those folks.
Well, I like your broad sweep of course, blaming Trump for everything that's bad in this country. And then the answer to that, well, there were mass killings, but they killed people before. There were hate crimes before Trump. No, but he perfected them, right? He really honed it down to a fine art. And I couldn't help but think of that repetition of the words Kung Flu over and over and over again. That being said, I think that you and I, because we're just here in our little podcast world, we would be better served in this case by just waiting to find out what the fuck is wrong with this guy, because I doubt it's as simple as, oh, he heard Donald Trump slam Asians and China and attribute the virus to it, and he took revenge on behalf of Donald. I don't think it's that simple.
Well, but it does fit into it does fit into a broader pattern of violence against Asian Americans.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but this also could be a corollary of, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is.
Yeah.
And why did you end up killing six out of eight Asian women? Well, because if he did go to these places as an actual patron, for instance, and then went back because something bad happened with one of them, well, then, a lot of Asian women work in these places. So therefore, it isn't 100% direct, oh, I wanted to kill Asians connection that you should make this early on. It's easy to do. I get it. I understand it. But as far as I'm concerned, once again, we have another person exercising Second Amendment rights. But of course, apparently is not part of the discussion. Oh, why someone
too
has
soon.
Brad, too soon for that. Right.
It's too soon to talk about that.
Right. But it's not too soon to immediately attribute this to some kind of racial. I mean, I'm just saying that we have the luxury of time to wait for some more facts to come.
But the overall pattern of violence against Asian Americans is happening in places like New York and San Francisco and places like that.
I would agree.
Yeah, I think you have certainly the president, the former president. Some people feel that he's going to. Is it the 20th yet? I think there's some sort of QAnon bullshit that perhaps the 20th will be his true inauguration date. They come up with anything they can pull out of their asses.
I thought that was what's Hitler's birthday? The 19th of April or something?
I think it's April 20th or something of that nature. I thought it was 420, but maybe it's the 19th. I'm not sure. Whenever Columbine is, because that's what the guys were celebrating. So yes, there's an overall pattern of violence against Asian Americans, and certainly you feel that former president has some sort of portion of the blame or responsibility towards that, because there were many people, as he continued to say those things that you were talking about, who said, stop doing that or you're going to get somebody killed.
Right. Oh, but no, his fingerprints are all over everything that's bad in this country. I could go there. I mean, that's kind of easy, because when I saw the headline last night, oh, Trump says you should take the vaccine, blah, blah, blah. And I guess he was on fucking Fox with fucking Maria fucking Bartiromo. And then when you read what he actually said, it sucks. It's bullshit. It's equivocation. It's the people that respond, you can make a choice. You should take it. A lot of people who aren't taking it, they actually voted for me. Really? Yeah, because they're your dumbass followers. On and on it went. And I need credit. I should get credit for inventing. No, you didn't invent shit. Okay, and we're just not going to go there. And it's way too late. It is way too late for him to go on one show at 7:00 at night on Fox that isn't watched by that many people that mean anything to anybody, that has no influence, compared with the full year of drumbeat of bullshit about the virus, about vaccine, about wearing masks, about being safe, about taking it seriously, about how dangerous it is and was and will be. You don't foul that off with one swing. That again, one little mention of you should take it doesn't count. You got it back in January and you lied about it. Why is that? And you saw the reaction. A lot of the Trump fans were disappointed. They couldn't believe he said that. Well, I'm still not going to get it. He told me not to get it. Right?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not going to wear a mask because Fauci said once back in March, don't wear man. They don't work. Bro. It's whatever the first thing that you say, it sticks forever, right?
This is the headline from FoxNews.com. Trump urges all Americans to get the COVID vaccine. It's a safe vaccine and it works. He says, this is what he further said in the interview with Maria
Yeah, that's the
Bartiromo.
partial quote, though. Keep going.
It is. I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it. And a lot of those people voted for me, frankly, Trump told Bartiromo. It's a great vaccine. It's a safe vaccine, and it is something that works. That's only what you're going to get from the Fox story. We've been working around the clock, and what I got the FDA to do, this would have happened in many, many years from now if I didn't get involved, said Donald John Trump, the former president.
Back to the same shit. Back to the, if it wasn't for me, if it was any other president, every other president would have come on back in April of last year and would have said, we're not going to try very hard. We're not going to do anything different. We're going to wait 5 or 10 years. It took them 20 years to get the mumps. If we can get it in, but thank God we had Trump there to lead us through. It's just bullshit.
Trump took the opportunity to criticize what he sees as Biden's attempt to take credit for his vaccine accomplishments, telling Bartiromo that without his administration's efforts to obtain FDA emergency approval, which, by the way, he did that all on his own. It wasn't the pharmacies going to the FDA and going through a well-established process that's been around for decades.
No, Britt, no one ever thought of emergency
until he did.
Until he did. Nobody ever thought.
This is where he's Howard Stern. Nobody ever thought of breathing air until I breathed air. Everybody just stood around and they just passed out. But we've been working around the clock, and what I got the FDA to do, this would have happened in many, many years from now if I didn't get involved.
It's just hot air. It's live.
Is there any question that if he was still in office, that he would have taken much greater action against Dr. fucking Seuss than he would against to try to get the COVID vaccine into people's arms? Is there any question that he would somehow have erected a statue of Pepe Le Pew on the South Lawn before he did thing one to help get a COVID vaccine in people's arms?
Right.
Trump lauded his administration for taking a big bet to manufacture the vaccine before we really knew what works. We saved many months and millions of lives by doing that. Millions. Oh, well, yeah. And so, I mean, if somebody else had been in office, I bet you like 500,000 people would have died or something, you know? Yeah. If somebody else would have been in office, it would have been just a terrible thing. Right. The threats and recriminations over possibly repealing the filibuster continue in the United States Senate, Brad. Mitch McConnell is threatening an incredible scorched earth policy if the Democrats even consider repealing the filibuster in the United States Senate. And I believe he's right. I believe Mitch McConnell could start slowing some things down if the Democrats decide that they're going to repeal the filibuster.
Excuse me, from the day Barack Hussein Obama took office till today, even when he's not even the majority leader anymore, has Mitch McConnell ever done anything other than what would be characterized as a scorched earth policy, which is fuck you, we're not going to help the country whenever it doesn't help us. It's more important that we do whatever it takes to maintain political power and win elections. Fuck the country. What would be the difference between those 8 years of Obama, the 4 years of shoving judges through on behalf of Donald Trump and all the other things, and what he says would happen to all of us if which tablet, when it was handed down from God to George Washington, did it say 60 votes to pass anything of substance in the United States of America in the Senate of the United States? Where was that handed down? The answer, of course, nowhere.
It's not in the Constitution. These are rules that the Senate has established and gone with for a number of years. We do it that way, Brad, because we've always done it that way.
Right. And I mean, Joe Biden, if anything, has as much time under his belt in the United States Senate as, that's right, say it, Mitch McConnell. He was there as long as McConnell was.
Right.
The only difference is Biden decided to get a promotion, and then he stepped up to the CEO job after leaving the Senate. Mitch McConnell's happy to be there the rest of his life, which, again, the old, why is Mitch McConnell alive And let's pick some Rod Davis. Why is Rod Davis
No longer with us. Yeah.
local celebrity, good guy, radio guy? Why is he gone, but Mitch McConnell is still alive? We can play that game today, can't we?
Well, some things are worse than death, as it turns out, and being around Mitch McConnell is one of those things that's worse than death.
Right, and the threat, of course, is if the Democrats change the rules now and make it just a majority body, 50+1, to pass all kinds of things like the Voting Rights Act, the John Lewis, the minimum wage, whatever that you will rue the day, because one day the Republicans will run the Senate, and we're going to pass every piece of shit, destroy the country, fuck you kind of legislation that we've always dreamed of. We're going to fucking fuck over the unions. We're going to gerrymander your asshole. We're going to do everything. Just everything is open season. Every chemical company will be allowed to open its spigot into the Mississippi River. No question. We're going to have the conservative dream will occur if you start to pass things under new rules while you control the Senate, Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden. The revenge will be sweet, you motherfuckers. Okay? But I think that's Mitch McConnell showing not strength, but fear. I think that's a guy who knows the game is up. The gig is over. The blocking Supreme Court nominees game, that's over. The blocking federal judges thing. It's
not even bringing the nomination to the floor for a vote. Not even just letting the guy not even have an up or down vote.
Right. So yeah, don't tell us about scorched earth when you're standing on earth that's already been scorched by you.
It's like how much, and I know what he was, if anybody's paying attention, goes, how much worse can you get? It's like if you're married to someone, and I don't care if it's a man or a woman, and the person has been truly awful, and they go, boy, if you don't take me out to dinner tonight, or if you don't get me this new lawnmower, we're going to have some problems around here. How much more dickish can you be?
I don't know whether that's a very good.
It's the same. It's the same thing. It is. Well, it's the same thing. Just go with it. It's the same thing.
No, you're underestimating Mitch McConnell's ability to really always be worse than he is.
How?
Remember,
how can he do?
There is no rock bottom with him.
I don't know,
because I have a feeling, and I guess at some point we're all closing in on that. You do reach a certain age where you say, "Fuck it, I don't care."
Well, yes, I get that.
He's at that age now, right?
No, he was at that. He was at that age in 1986. I mean, I just don't. There's not. I mean, they're going to do all of the things. We're going to do the laundry list of English as the official language, and if you burn the flag, we're going to shoot you. And we have possession of all the ovaries in America. We're going to make every abortion clinic into like a Bible study group. I mean, they're going to do all of that stuff anyway. And the president of the United States, the guy that won the last election, Joe Biden, said, he goes, yeah, I kind of wish we didn't have to do it that way, but I'm not going to just sit here and let this guy beat the shit out of me because people can say, gosh, Joe, you sure were a good sport. He's not going to do that, because he realizes he'll get zero credit for, I hated Joe Biden. He was a piece of shit. What a socialist, and the Green New Deal, and he kissed AOC's ass. But you know what? Right. He followed those Senate rules. And that's one thing I really respected about Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
They really erect statues to you if you're the rule follower.
No. Right? No. And Joe Biden understands this.
We erect statues. We erect statues to people who break the rules and break new ground and do great things, whether it's people who invent things or politicians who don't take the easy way out or things of that sort. But what all this is, distill everything that we've been talking about, and it makes even more sense, not that anything that I'm about to say that was done was legal or ethical or moral, but Republicans and Donald Trump were afraid of Joe Biden correctly becoming the candidate and becoming the president. They were, and the latest report from Tuesday that again says the Russians were campaigning for Donald Trump again
Right.
in 20. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say again because there was no collusion in 2016.
They were working just as hard for Hillary in 2016. They were working the Russians were trying real hard for her.
Exactly. But the fact that Rudy Giuliani, now there's a guy who proves the previous point. You can't predict how low he will go.
Well, that's a fair point.
You want to talk about a guy who was willing to just sell every bit of integrity out on behalf of Donald Trump. He may be the leader now in the clubhouse. He may have eclipsed Pence, Pompeo, Lindsey Graham, any of them, because he didn't just talk the talk. He goose-stepped the goose steps with the Russians, right?
Exactly.
He just did. He was behind all this shit. He was behind and by the way, in that report, what they said? That all the Hunter Biden shit was bullshit.
Absolutely.
It was bullshit. There was just
all
nothing to it. But it doesn't matter. And again, if you think things are rough now, if you think there's a crisis on the border, imagine if Donald Trump was beginning his second term and we found out all of these things again. There'd be a third impeachment, right?
Well, but remember the takeaway for the takeaway for the Fox News crowd on that story is that, well, okay, Russia worked to get Donald Trump reelected, and we had some of these other, but China did not work to help Trump. So the takeaway is that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are simpatico. Biden is China's boy. That's their takeaway. That's the bullshit that they get out of that report right there.
Well, but there is the one problem with it, in that the lie that was told all the way through to try to divert attention from the fact that it was Russia that was doing this, and sometimes using Ukrainian cutouts to help them advance the ball, that the Chinese pulled back and were not involved at all. So remember how many press conferences, how many questions were answered with when the issue of Russia helping Trump during the 2020 election. It did come up. It was asked, nobody's helping. And they would always pivot to, no, it's China, which of course was a lie. The Chinese decided it was in their best interest to not try to tamper with the United States election. Now you can say, well, what was their motive in not tampering?
Right.
Is that going to be the charge now? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. They didn't tamper with the election. What was that all about? Right? You can't win the game.
No, but they'll always make something up.
They don't. Why didn't they tamper?
President Joe Biden has heard the criticism and he just can't stand it anymore. March the 25th is the date for his first press conference. And surprise, folks at Fox are like, okay, I'm glad he did that. And they're accepting it. No, Barney says that the president will rely on his magic teleprompter. That's a two-word phrase that Stewart just pulled out of his very large ass to get through that press conference. I'm sure there's going to be recriminations and all sorts of accusations that the questions have been fed to Joe Biden and Jen Psaki and Hunter Biden and Beau Biden from beyond the grave to Joe Biden's ear, so that he will have these questions well in advance with plenty of scripted answers. Do you see any greatness coming out of this press conference that Joe Biden is scheduled for March the 25th, Brad?
It's not going to be anything. It's going to be
and he'll do fine.
And it won't be enough. It won't be anything. It'll be nothing.
The goalposts.
Remember how many times it was going to be the end of the world for Joe Biden. He can't debate.
He can't.
Right? He doesn't know anything. He's a doddering fool. He's been in his basement just listening to the ocean on headphones for 8 months. And they're keeping him away from it, and it's nothing. It's just not a thing. It's just going to be another press conference, and on we go. And if they want to spend all their time trying to divert attention with why doesn't he hold a press conference, why is he incapable of securing our border like the great Donald Trump? Why is he letting people? Why is it open borders, which it is not? Why is he doing? Why is Mr. Potato Head now just Potato Head? Why is Dr. Seuss been? And meantime, I'm not saying I'm a typical American, but for this purpose, I guess I am. There it was, $2,800 more in my bank account with the big monster mega bank, which I still do business with, but they didn't steal any of the money. It's
Well,
right
not yet.
there today. And
Not
so
yet.
the average person does not care when Joe Biden holds his press conference. They do not care. It doesn't mean a thing to them. And remember, we just got done with a president who was in our face and in our ears 24/7. And the takeaway for America right now has been, thank goodness we have a president who doesn't feel he needs to be in our face 24/7. He's just getting shit done. You may not like that shit, but he's getting shit done.
Mhm.
And of course, you're gonna pick at him, and he's gonna make mistakes, and he's gonna fuck up, and he's gonna gaff, and of course he's gonna do all those things. But this is a big picture type of deal right now, and so far it's been pretty good. He's taken the hand that was dealt to him by Trump over whatever system was set up to distribute the vaccine. They've improved it remarkably well. They've made it much better, and now we're up to about 3 million a day, and we've already done the math on that. I'm trying to figure out how you divide 3 million into 300 million. I've been working on that one for a few days. I'll get back to you on how long that would take if everybody actually got it.
Have you tried a spreadsheet? Because I find that those are exceptionally helpful.
Can't do it. No, I have an abacus. You can't see it behind me. In my room here.
Abacus. That's my favorite album from Genesis, Abacus. You haven't mentioned the tremendous op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal from former administration official and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and as he hails peace in the Middle East. And what the Trump administration was able to do for the Israelis. I think, obviously, Jared Kushner is completely full of shit, but the more that he reminds people that, hey, I'm still over here, I think it's very helpful to America that this virus that just got flushed out of their body, known as Donald John Trump, it could come back. I know that former Congressman Joe Walsh in his podcast just a couple of weeks ago was saying, you guys got to understand, Donald Trump could be president again. And he says fairly easily. And if it ain't Donald Trump, I don't know who it might be, but it might be someone who is Donald Trump light, like a Ron DeSantis or a Josh Hawley, or it might be one of those idiot children. I guess Ivanka would be the one who would be most likely to be the one that was polished up and presented for American approval. So yes, these stupid pieces, this legacy turd polishing that Jared Kushner and others have been trying to do. Do you find it's helpful to remind us of how awful Donald John Trump was as the 45th president of the United States?
Well, again, writing a column about yourself and how great you are.
Yeah.
When the evidence in front of everyone's eyes was, no, you weren't. And you are the ultimate, probably never to be topped example of nepotism, incompetence, unpreparedness, shouldn't have had the job, had no expertise for the job, to try to gaslight us after the father-in-law gets bounced and you don't have an office in the White House anymore, to try to tell us just how great you were. It's very Trumpian. No doubt about that. Tell them how great you're going to be. Tell them how great you were. Isn't that the old adage, right? Except when it's Trump, it's tell them you're going to be great, fuck it up, and then tell them how great you were. That's the three-parter that they have, and no one's believing. He's not going to be Zbigniew Brzezinski or Henry Kissinger. There aren't going to be presidents he's not going to be Richard Nixon. There aren't going to be presidents in the future. They're going to tap into his wonderful experience and knowledge of the Middle East to help out. He's not going to be appointed roving ambassador at large on behalf. No, he's not. He's not. I would say he'd be better off just sticking to making sure that he's got a golf tee time every day at the golf course his house has been built on in that island off of Miami Beach.
Can you? I want to start. This is how the piece starts. The geopolitical earthquake that began with the Abraham Accords hasn't ended. More than 130,000 Israelis have visited Dubai since President Trump hosted the peace deal signing this past September. And I'll stop right there. I can't, and I love Israel. I support Israel as much as the next guy. I can't imagine for the average person out there that's trying to make ends meet, trying to get a vaccine in their arm and trying not to get kicked out of their house, how 130,000 Israelis going to Dubai has less effect on their lives. I just can't.
Well, because it's not possible. Because you can't think of something. And I will give them this. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good accomplishment. You got it. Okay, fine. But there are too many other things that are just inexcusable that Jared Kushner was associated. Remember how many times he was given the assignment of, you're in charge of blank, right? I can't even remember all the things he was put in charge of.
I think at one point it was coronavirus. I think he was the COVID guy. He was like the COVID czar.
Right. Yeah. Wasn't he infrastructure boy for a while?
He was. Yes.
Wasn't something like that?
Yes,
I mean, he really has. And the issue would be, and this is in all seriousness, it's other people who would approach you and tell you, we want your help. We see what you did. It isn't going to be, oh, we didn't realize how great you were until you wrote a column in the Wall Street Journal to tell us how great you were. Can you help us out now? It just doesn't work that way. It really, really doesn't.
No.
And I'm going to use the most vivid example of that, which is Nixon. Okay. Nixon left office in way more of a disgraceful way than Jared Kushner left whatever office he had appointed to by his father. Right? Nixon was resigned. He would have been impeached and convicted. He was guilty of all kinds of crimes, and he kept his head fairly low for a while. He wrote a few books here about foreign policy, and over time, it was recognized that he really was a very well-schooled, smart mind. And people kind of knew that all the way. I mean, he had this dark, horrible side to him as a crook and a piece of shit. But as a smart guy who knew stuff, he had that going for him. But it wasn't because Dick Nixon wrote columns and things saying, I'm great. Here's what I did. It was just recognized. That's how it has to be done. It really, it'd be like a baseball player who hits 240 and starts writing columns to tell you.
I'm going to teach you how to hit. I'm going to teach you how to hit. I got a hitting academy.
It doesn't get it done.
Well, you don't think the Marv Thornberry hitting academy is going to be a huge success? I think you're wrong about that. I think it's going to be the best thing ever. And you would hear this all again, not to revisit the awfulness of the Trump administration, but you would hear this stuff all the time. Which means we're gonna. They would tell you, the reason I support this guy, or the reason he's doing a great job, is because he's solely focused on the economics and business. And then he'd do some bullshit like moving the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Like that means anything to the guy who's trying to make sure that his crops produce more per acre in Valdosta, Georgia.
You
means
just gave me a
nothing.
great idea. You just gave me a great idea for a book that I'm never going to write. And you and I have a lot of books that we've titled
never going to write.
Written, right? But the recurring theme for the 4 years, countless times, hundreds, thousands of times, was anytime something would happen, it was a diversion from. So you could draw one of those trees, okay, that connect shit together, or you could, in chronological order, say, on March 31st, 2019, X happened. It was a diversion from March 28th to, and you could just work backwards. You could work backwards almost every day. Something was done to try to take your attention off of a previous horrible act. You know, it was squirrel over here, right? There it is. Look,
that's what it was. That's what it was.
Over and over and over again. And Jared Kushner was a part of that.
Yeah, he was.
He was a part of that planning. You got eventually, and it might be sooner than we think, there are going to be the tell-all books of more insiders who are going to say, you're not going to believe what happened when you saw blank in public. Here's what was really going on. And people are going to talk, and they're going to be more willing to talk over time. And there's no such thing as a shut up clause. You can't ever talk about it, right?
Exactly.
People who are in official government.
Well, there's non-disclosure agreements. They've had non-disclosure agreements.
Yes,
but yeah.
National security, you can't give away secrets, and they vet the books and make sure.
But you remember, even the people that worked with the Trump administration, their non-disclosure agreements were worth about as much as that toilet paper I've got a couple rooms over. That's what that means.
Right.
Right. By the way, the Washington Post just moving this story saying the Internal Revenue Service expected to move the tax filing deadline to May 15th instead of April the 15th as they deal with a backlog. If you're on Fox, now this is a tough one for Republicans who are almost always for the IRS having their foot lifted off the throat of the American people. Even to get a 30-day reprieve for folks would generally be good, but can't you trump this as a Republican as part of the incompetence of the Biden administration? This guy can't even run the IRS properly, and they have to kick the can down the road another 30 days because doddering old fool, Dementia Joe, the Chinese puppet, can't even figure out how to get the IRS right. Can't you play that card?
Britt, you're creating.
I love doing that.
That one's too thin. No, that one's too thin. No,
I love doing that. I love like the idea.
I know, but that one, no, because there's real shit. There's real shit that they will make up shit about. You're making up shit about shit that they haven't made up shit about.
Well, who could have predicted Pepe Le Pew?
They did the same thing last year, Britt. They
I know, but because we were in the middle of a pandemic, things have slowed down a little bit since then. I mean, it was July. I remember, of course, last year. That was.
I know,
and it wasn't because of incompetence, because Donald Trump was working so hard on getting that vaccine out, as he pointed out to Marie.
Whatever happened to be best?
I think they gave up. Be less shitty, I think, is what that eventually turned into. Just try to do better in some way, shape, or form. I couldn't have predicted Pepe Le Pew. I didn't know that they would get so upset. I thought that they hated all the things that are French. I thought that we called them freedom fries for a reason, but a rapey skunk that's French, apparently they love. How could I have predicted that?
You could.
Right now, the speaker at CPAC next year should probably be Pepe Le Pew. That's who they should try to somebody to do Pepe Le Pew.
Well, no, instead of wheeling in that gold Trump statue, that thing that they did.
Yes.
By the way, you remember what the best part of that whole thing was? That the statue was made in Mexico.
It was.
That was my favorite part of that. We couldn't even have Americans make that for Trump, America first president, right? They had to have it made in Mexico. I love that.
That was always the best. Yeah. Well, that's all I have for today.
All right. Yeah. We got a little drama coming up tomorrow here, I think, in our part of the world from the weather.
Yeah, it looks like it.
We normally don't do weather forecasts on a podcast, but I've never seen them put out a stage 4 level thunderstorm tornado thing 48 hours ahead of time. That this is going to be one of these days where in the entire state it goes from 40 degrees to 80 in the afternoon and shit rains down from the sky. So we're a bit concerned about that. We hope everything's okay. Through the next few days. All right.
Everybody stay safe.
Yep. All right. We'll see you on the next one on Thursday for those of you who join us live.